John may not be with us today, but he is here with us in spirit.
John is Vishnu.
Anyway. Anyway. This is a sponsored video, thank you Sega, for a mobile game. But it's a good mobile game. It's called Shin Megami Tensei Liberation Dx2 or D2. I'm not really sure how you're supposed to pronounce that because I don't think the way they talk about it in the Japanese audio here is really applicable to English. How do they say X in Japanese? What does that sound like? Do you know that, Ryan?
No,
Anyway,
also
there's supposed to be a tracking link down in the thing, or maybe it's over to the left. Who knows what YouTube is doing these days? But it leads to the Facebook page for this game, which is coming out soon on Android and iOS, unless you live in Japan, in which case it's been out for a goddarn while. Anyway, yeah, this is basically Shin Megami Tensei on your mobile phone, or at least it's one of the Shin Megami Tensei side series things.
Oh, there's like 16, so
yeah,
don't
that
worry
somewhat
about
sits
it.
like in between Persona and Shin Megami Tensei, which I suppose is an important distinction for you mainline fans, because we're not dealing with an apocalypse, we're dealing with a bunch of teenagers with a magical phone app that lets them fight with demons against other demons.
Well, to be
So,
fair,
yeah.
the mainline games have also been doing the magic phone app thing for a good while anyway.
Which
Although
mainline
sometimes,
games? I mean, like the numbered sequels usually have to do with the apocalypse.
Well, they also have just random. You can just download the demon summoning app on your phone in Shin Megami Tensei 4 for some reason. It's just like, oh yeah, that'll get by Apple security. Sure, no problem.
Wait, when did that happen? I haven't finished 4. I thought they had like wrist-mounted computers.
regardless, unlike other spin-offs like the Metroidvania Jack Frost one, this is actually a RPG like the mainline games.
Well,
which is
most of
nice.
them are RPGs. The Jack Frost stuff is actually kind of the anomaly in that it's not an RPG in all ways, shape, and form. It's just they're all slightly different. Like this one's a Fire Emblem / Final Fantasy Tactics kind of game. This one's, actually a lot of them are just exactly the same, but the settings just kind of different for some reason. So yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a Shin Megami Tensei for basically everybody, except for if you don't like Japanese, because they're all very Japanese. So
Yes, very Japanese. This game opens
So if you
up.
like other games, you'll like this one.
yeah,
This
probably.
game opens up on basically a summarized version of the same politics Persona 5 emphasizes. And like, I don't show it in this video, but one of the cutscenes leading into the first chapter involves a television anchor who's pushing that, oh, young people are wasting their lives, they should be supporting old people kind of thing that you saw quite a bit in Persona 5 if you talk to the NPCs. Also, this guy, I don't know how to pronounce that name, so I'm not even going to try it.
Einherjar.
Yeah, they I don't know what kind of mythology thing that's based off of, because that's used in a couple of other things. I can't remember if it's in any other Shin Megami Tensei
It
games.
sounds Norse or something.
Well, it sounds
Like-
more Gaelic than North.
I know
Norse.
that that's the name for the summoned old Fire Emblem units that they use in Fire Emblem Awakening, where you summon like the they call them, they're like cards, and they call them whatever that is. I don't know how to pronounce them.
Yeah. In any case, the first part of this video is just going to be the tutorial that you start the game with. I'm playing as the girl character because, of course, I'm that guy. But you actually don't need to play as your protagonist character for this game. Like, after the tutorial, as soon as you start recruiting other party members, you can just switch to that devil summoner and have them be the person you play as, and the person who represents you as your player avatar.
You can play as the random lady with the gun who just hangs around with you for no good.
Yeah, she's the only one we're going to see in this video because I only recorded up to the end of the first chapter. This game will run on a Samsung Galaxy S5. I've confirmed it. It runs somewhat choppily, but the moment I try to plug this into my computer through SideSync and record that way, the thing starts chugging like a PowerPoint slideshow. So I'm actually recording this off Vox Player.
Did you mess with the graphic? Did you mess with the graphic settings at all? And did that?
Yeah,
help?
it was all on low.
Okay, because
Yeah,
Still
I
on
saw
low.
the game. I saw the game being played off of a TED when we were together this past
yeah, and
weekend.
I have a Pixel.
It does look really good in motion.
Yeah, it's for, you see, here's the thing, we only got this game a couple of days ago, So I have not had a chance to play it for extended periods of time all at once. So with that said, I don't know how this phone is on your battery life. I don't know how this game is on your battery life, because there are other games like Pokemon Go, for example, which look not as good as this does, but also eat up your phone's battery like nothing else. So I can't say whether or not you'll be able to like play this for an entire bus ride, for example, without keeping your phone
Well,
plugged in.
a bus ride for like a trip is not like going to work bus ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a couple of factors there. There's an option to download all of the game's graphics assets onto your phone all at once, rather than streaming them through your data connection. Two things that I've noted: this game doesn't seem to like Wi-Fi connections all that much. You need an apparently pretty strong Wi-Fi connection to play it over Wi-Fi, and well, it's pretty data intensive when it's downloading data. So I recommend downloading the 1 gigabyte patch that gets all of the graphics assets onto your phone. That way you're using the minimum amount of data when you're playing wirelessly. So I didn't.
Well, that's
really
the case with every mobile game, really.
I didn't really have to do that with Vox Player, because all it ever does is use your Wi-Fi connection. But for some reason, I had a lot of trouble with that when I was playing it on my phone. So yeah, that's a thing. The game, though, it does seem to use the energy system. I didn't have a chance to figure out how that balances out, and how much time you're allowed to play before you have to wait for energy to refill. It doesn't seem like it would be too much of a problem, because like every 2 points of energy gets you like a battle event with 3 or 4 enemy waves attached to it, based on the first chapter anyway. But that being said, every time my player level went up, I got like another 10 to 12 points of energy just lumped on top of the energy I already had. So by the end of the first chapter, I had like 50 out of 12 points of energy, if that makes any sense. So
That's good. I always hate it when mobile games like get really stingy about that. If you're actively playing the game, you'll probably be fine in terms of...
I don't know if that's how it's going to work in the final version, because this is the closed beta test we're playing, and like every
I don't
day...
see why they wouldn't change that, though.
Well, at least at the very beginning, most mobile games are pretty good about letting you play for as long as you want. It's usually only for high-level stuff, where it's like you're going into the super-duper ultra-ultimate dungeons, where they might get a little bit more stingy. But then again, these are not the kind of games that are meant to be marathon played for, hours and hours like you would for the 3DS or console kinds of games. These are meant to be played for, at most, 10 to 15 minutes at a time. So
yeah, and it's funny you say dungeons, because as far as I know, dungeons aren't a thing in this game. It's literally just the battle system that you're playing. And
which is fine for a mobile game.
Yeah, it's fine for a mobile game. It's a good battle system too. What we're looking at here is
mostly, from what I can tell, like having played it a little bit, it's pretty much exactly the same as the ones from most of them. It's got press turn and all of that other stuff. So
yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit so they know what they're getting into?
So in most of the Shin Megami Tensei games following, I think Nocturne was the first one to introduce it. Like, most of them feature this battle system called press turn, where you have it's turn-based and you've got your team of monsters. So if you've got you and 3 demons, that's 4 turns total. But if you hit an enemy's elemental weakness, so if you're fighting Jack Frost and you use fire or Agi on it, then you will do more damage, but also get what's called a press turn, or an extra turn, which lets you do an extra attack. However,
it also happens when you are lucky enough to score a critical hit with a physical attack.
Yes, it does. But if you hit an enemy with an attack that's reflected or nulled, or I don't think if it's just not very effective. I think it just counts as...
Nah, in this game at least, resistance does not lose you any press turn icons.
But if it's nulled or reflected, then you do lose press turn icons, which is a big problem, because you can, like, entire demons won't be able to act at all.
Yeah, and also if you miss.
Yeah.
All of these rules apply, by the way, to the other team. So it's a really bad idea to use that one rooster-headed demon that's weak to everything. I'm gonna have to bleep that out, aren't I? This is a sponsored video. Oops.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sega.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, so
Nerd mecha.
yeah, that's one of my favorite things in any RPGs is when you and the enemies follow the same rules, because it annoys me it annoys me in RPGs where it's just like, oh, the enemy can doesn't have to worry about specific restrictions that you have to deal with, or if the enemies just are not as smart as you. But this Shin Megami Tensei in general, and in this game as well. Oh, the quest clear. I thought, okay, that's not just something that was with my phone. That's in this version too. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The little messages that pop up from people who are playing the game. The Vanitas, no, I hate that. Ugh, I would have had to bleep that out too. Ugh. I had so much trouble beating that guy in Birth by Sleep. So much trouble. But anyway, Acolytes versus Liberators. This is our plot. Basically, the Liberators and the Acolytes are all people who are working for different factions, and the Acolytes are trying to end or rebirth the world, a la your usual Shin Megami Tensei demon. Your main characters, the Liberators, are your ragtag group of high school students who are trying to save the world with their cell phones. Okay. And they do this by going around basically playing Pokemon Go with Shin Megami Tensei demons. Which is how the
As you
story
do.
seems to explain it. It's an AR app through which you can see the demons. So you're playing a mobile game about people who are using a magic mobile game to fight demon battles with each other.
Yeah. Now I didn't try this while I was playing on my own, but is there a way to skip the story events in this and just do the fights?
Yeah, in the options menu, you can actually turn on the skip cutscenes option, which skips the cutscenes for any event you've already done. So you can just get in, do the battle, and get out to get your experience points.
Okay. All right. That because I know that there are definitely people for many mobile games where they don't. Like, a lot of mobile games actually tend to have these long ongoing stories. Like, I know some of the Japanese exclusive, a lot of Japanese mobile games like this as well do that, but I know that a lot of people also don't care.
Yeah,
and wanna skip
it's a
all
bigger
that.
thing in Japan, this kind of game.
Yeah,
where
most mobile games in the United States are more kind of the Flappy Bird variety, where it's just like
Yeah.
you turn it on, and less like this.
Yeah, if you play Persona 5, you've probably seen it represented, but a lot of people are going around with their mobile phones and their portable versions. I pointed out during the playthrough that one dork with the PlayStation Vita who was actually playing a PlayStation Vita for some reason, because you know that's just the way their lifestyle tends to be, where they're commuting everywhere and using public transit a lot. So these kind of games pop up quite a bit there. So the bar is higher. It's not higher by an exceptional amount, but you get some interesting stuff in mobile games over there, and this would be an example of that. I would have liked to see English voice acting, like the other Atlas games that get localized over here. But,
Well,
you know,
not all of them have, because
not all of them, yeah.
well, most of
It's
them
true.
do, but like Strange Journey, the remake on 3DS, that didn't have English voice acting for some reason. So
Yeah, well,
that doesn't.
we're
I
probably
get-
going to get the English voice acting in the Switch version, though.
I get the feeling that if you're interested in this game, that's not going to bug you too much.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably not.
yeah. I don't know if that's something that they'll change later in the.
Ah!
Oh, okay. Hi, gun lady.
Hello? I would respond to you the same way I responded to Yukari, but I'm afraid I'd get shot. Could you please lower your weapon? It's probably an airsoft gun, but she pulls it out at the most inopportune moments. It's hilarious.
She's got that thing duct taped to her hand. She doesn't want to let. You see, it makes me think that she's American and not Japanese.
Rika's great because she's basically the Japanese version of an American weeaboo taken to the extreme. Like, she doesn't even care about our pop culture. She has this image of Americans getting drunk and shooting their guns off, and she idealizes that like nothing else. I have no idea why.
Well, I mean,
Because
she's
that's
not
embarrassing.
she's not really wrong. So
Oh, come on. Most gun owners are better than that. Most of them. It's just that the idiots are so noticeable.
yeah. So Anyway, this is the first battle of the game. Like, like most RPGs,
No,
they
no,
start.
this isn't
Oh, well,
not the
the
first.
second.
This is
the
more like
first...
3 or 4 battles in. Yeah,
Yeah.
I skipped ahead. I used Rika here as a segue.
You see, I thought that the first non-tutorial battle you do is with her, so, and you gain her trust, and basically.
Yeah, she's your tag along for the first chapter of the game. So I used her gun happiness as a segue to jump ahead a few chapter battles because like most mobile games, this game starts out blindingly easy. It does pick up by the end of the first chapter, though, and I can see it getting pretty difficult. It would be disappointing if it didn't, because Shin Megami Tensei games are known for a certain level of challenge. Maybe they aren't all Nocturne, but, you know.
Most of them, at least on the, like, a lot of them have been adding easy modes lately, which is totally fine, but...
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. It had to be done. This is the realistic way this game would end.
Is that a gun?
The thing about, I think model guns in Japan don't even have those stupid obvious orange caps on the end either, so...
Some of them do. It kind of depends on what kind you're getting and where you're getting it from.
Yeah, but they're basically required for every single one. Even your, like, training guns need to be, like, colored blue or something.
Yeah, there's a you can't even, the really basic squirt guns that kind of sort of look like real guns, you can't even really have those anymore. They all have to look like exaggerated Splatoon weapons in order to be sold like at a
or they basically have to be semi-transparent so you can see that it's just full of water.
Yeah.
Small touch, but I like the original Super Famicom Jack Frost sprite in the loading screen.
I decided to show this battle off specifically because this is the tutorial for support demons. Basically, you can add people to your friends list in this game, and once per day, per person, you can borrow a support demon for a battle, and have them along for all that battle's waves. And the support demon acts on its own, it's AI controlled. But it also it can also be like ridiculously overpowered for your point in the game, like this Thor they give you for the tutorial, which is like level 50. It's like battling with Sephiroth on your side. It's you basically don't have to do anything while this guy's here.
Yeah, that's another thing that's common in these kinds of mobile games is they want you to be able to play with your friends, and so if you have a friend who started about 3 months before you did, you don't really have to try very hard for the first couple of missions because they're just 20 levels.
They want you to catch up so you can play with your friends.
Yeah, basically.
Like I said, once per day per battle, so you can pull out your support demon for the big boss demon at the end of the chapter and get through it pretty easy. I wanted to show off the demon talking there, but that guy decided to be extra friendly and just joined me without prompting. So I'm going to have to talk to another demon.
Man, I love it when they do that, so you don't even have to give any of your stuff to them. Okay, so I have not been able to play as much as I would like to, but so I need to ask, can you give your demons stuff? Can you give the enemy demons stuff and they'll take it and then run away?
It hasn't happened to me yet. I think they don't do that in this game because of the game's extra simplicity. Because the in any other Shin Megami Tensei game, you'd be able to talk to whatever demon you want, basically. In this game, the talk icon appears randomly on its own, so I guess they took away that random element of, well, now you just don't get your demon, because, well, the two elements of randomness on top of each other would have been super annoying. Also, Supersonic here. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
So this is a little bit deceiving because we are playing in the low graphics mode, but when you're playing it on your phone, especially if you've got a phone with a nicer screen, this game actually does look really, really nice. Like
it's a mobile game that looks visually more pleasing than the main numbered sequel we got on 3DS.
Yeah, with
so
the 2D sprites
threw me off.
So if they, I'm assuming that many of these models are similar to the ones that they used in Persona 5 and will then later reuse in Shin Megami Tensei 5, which I am very, very, very looking forward to, for the record. But yeah, so I'm optimistic about how those games are going to look. I just love the Shin Megami Tensei demons in general, though, and we are seeing a lot of them in this game that I don't think we've seen in a long time. Like the green dog that you've got on your team right now, I don't think has been in any games in a long time. And as far as I can remember, that's the first time it's been in 3D. Period. So
I think the green dog has been in the Persona series.
Okay, well I don't play those ones as much, so
yeah, there have been a lot of demons in the Persona series that haven't showed up in a while, and there's been quite a few demons that weren't even showing up in the Persona series that popped up in Persona 5.
Yeah, and there are a lot of demons that have more than one design too, so they'll look like one. They'll look one way in some series and other ways in other series. Like
yeah, like Slime in this game is vaguely humanoid, which surprised me because I'm used to him looking like your standard RPG Slime, where he's a lump on the ground with a face.
Yeah. There's also, I think, in one of the games, there's the slime that's just on a skeleton as well. So there's some of them have like, yeah. But I love the Shin Megami Tensei monsters. They're great. So. They look good in this game too.
Speaking of randomness, though, the demon talking is really honestly quite fun in this game in a way that I didn't necessarily like it so much in Nocturne, because in Nocturne, the talk you would get from demons was mostly random, and the correct response was also randomized. So if you got the same question from two demons, it would be a different answer, so you'd basically just have to guess. In this game, from what little I've played, it seems like when you get the same question from different demons, the answer is always the same, so you can remember what the answer was the last time you got it right, or what it wasn't when you got it wrong, and increase your chances of recruiting demons that way.
Yeah. From the in Shin Megami Tensei 4 and what I played of Strange Journey Redo on 3DS, it would depend on the personality of the demon. So if there was a law demon, you would generally know, okay, I should probably answer the way that would make me sound more honorable, and if the demon was like a girl, you would try to be flirty with it and stuff like that. So, but within that type of demon, the answers were usually pretty consistent. Sometimes it felt random. I don't think this game does any kind of law or chaos kind of stuff for the most part, because that's a little bit more complicated than these kind of games tend to go for. So
yeah, no, I believe they're being fairly straightforward on the demon talking, mostly because they want to make sure you're following some regular chain of logic in which you want to talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, like in the main games, you want to recruit as many demons as you can so you can fuse them together and get better demons, because that's just kind of the big thing that makes these games kind of different than most of the other ones. Most of the other kind of games in the monster training focused RPG sphere is that in other games of this, you're kind of expected to treat your monsters very preciously. And in Shin Megami Tensei, as soon as a demon is kind of sorta falling out of favor, you're kind of inclined to fuse it immediately and get something different, because
like the Duck of Doom here, who actually is a really good demon for this point in the game.
Oh dude, what was it, Devil Survivor, those guys were really, really annoying in Devil Survivor, because they have wind attacks in that game, and you would always find them while you were fighting enemies that also knew stone, so they would end up one-hit killing you all the time. And yeah.
In any case, fusion in this game and demon training actually works a bit different than I'm used to. You fuse the demons, obviously, and your player level will determine what kind of demons you can create through fusion. You need to be a certain level to make certain demons.
Yeah, that's normal.
So,
like, you can't, even if you have the right demons to do it, in most of the mainline games, you can't summon a level 99 demon if you're only level 6.
Yeah,
so.
But the demons here don't seem to start out, they don't seem to inherit skills based on who you fuse to make them.
Yeah, that is slightly different. Yeah.
That element doesn't seem to be here. There does seem to be a way to transfer skills. I haven't figured it out yet. That would probably only come into play later. The other thing, though, is that there's a sort of promotion system where you max out a demon's level, take them to a temple, and then have them evolve to a higher star level, and their level resets to 1, but their level cap goes up by 5. So you go up to level 25, cap out a demon there, and then evolve them by sacrificing a demon of the same star level they're already at. And then they become a higher level version of themselves, yeah.
That's very much a thing that happens in a lot of tactics style games. So I'm glad I'm kind of glad that this is here, because it feels like that cuts down the need, quote unquote, for a grind. It feels like it actually impacts when you're doing more.
The other thing I was somewhat afraid of when I saw that different demons had different star levels was that like we'd be like randomly doing battles and whatever to try and find that 5 or 6 star version of the demon we already have. But no, you can actually just turn your demons into those eventually high leveled versions of themselves. So
which is good. I feel more satisfaction doing it that way than just, oh, you got super lucky and you got the super rare awesome monster.
Yeah,
yeah, you can progress on your own terms as far as that goes. So I'm glad for that. In any case, yeah, this is the Great Demon Slaughtering. I didn't actually come into the fusion room here with the intention of showing off the fusion system with this footage, but I got so many weird demons on this one visit that it just had to be the footage I included.
Well, you can spend. Oh god, I think in Shin Megami Tensei 4 they keep track of how much time you spend in the demon fusion room. I played that game for like 100 and something out, like 180 hours, and I think a good like 30 of them were just spent in the demon fusion palace.
Wow.
Like looking at, well, that game also had a really good demon search feature, so I need to get this one and this one to make this guy that I could then fuse with this other guy that I have in order to get the guy that I really want. So yeah. It can get really in depth, and sometimes you fuse someone new and then you realize, oh, if I fuse this new one with the one I already have, I can get someone even better. So you might think you're going in for one guy and then end up with someone completely different. So Demon Fusion is one of the best parts of the game, and it really is. I think it's one of the things that makes this series stand out so much compared to a lot of other RPGs.
That's good to see that it's here then.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem to be dumbed down in any major way as well, which is also good.
Also, you can tell this guy is evil because of his massive eyebrows.
Oh, they do the splitty thing too, yeah, so.
Dear Lord, Japan really loves their evil TV hosts. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Did it, Death Note did it, Atlas has done it probably about 1 billion times by now.
This guy's trying to, like, grow, like, trees for eyebrows or something, it looks like.
How much time does it take to, like, style that if you're trying to specifically make it split?
Because he's one of those people who plucks his eyebrows and then draws eyebrows on.
So he has to grow his eyebrows out really, really thick and then only pluck a certain amount in between the two edges. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, you could probably save yourself a half an hour every morning if you just cut that from your routine, but you know what? I won't judge.
What you can't see is that just off screen, the guy is holding his microphone as he talks with us. He's not on TV. He's in a back alley, kidnapping some random girl from Akihabara. So, why is he holding his microphone? I don't get it.
It's
because he's a show host. Also, sorry, TV show host guy. I kind of want to go into the Sega arcade. Those things are great in Japan, from what I hear.
The Sega arcade is in the background of every shot in Akihabara. They really want you to know it's there. And, what you can't see is that, like, just out of frame, Kazuma Kiryu is running around doing his side quests, trying to get, like, teddy bears to little children and slamming, folding chairs into the heads of random street punks who get in his way.
Sega's Japan is very weird.
Yeah, little did you know, while you were playing Virtua Fighter and in Yakuza, that there were just demons hanging around invisibly the entire time. Which actually probably wouldn't make Yakuza that much weirder in context, but, it's interesting to think about. Also, the music in this game is pretty good, all things considered, so it's a shame that you probably won't be hearing it if you're playing this like most mobile people do, which is having the sound off on the subway. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, most people, like, if you do have the sound on, you're going to be having it through your headphones, obviously. But most people just turn the sound off on these sorts of things because they'd rather listen to their own music, or, they just don't want the music coming out of the speakers and possibly disturbing other people, so.
Yeah, if they had the English voice acting, I would actually recommend listening to it on headphones at the very least. But, I think the only thing you're really going to be missing, unless you actually do understand Japanese, is the music, and the music is damn good for what it is.
Yeah, it's catchy.
It's quite good. I like the opening theme too, and it wouldn't be Atlas without that wonderful anime opening that we saw, which is better than I expected it to be for a mobile game, honestly.
Yeah. You see, I just wish my phone wasn't freaking out at the moment because it doesn't like to go into landscape mode, so I had to watch it vertically with the letterbox.
Oh yeah, my phone and emulator both had the same trouble. I actually had to download the opening video from YouTube and cut it in myself, so that we'd have a decent version of it to watch for this video. Because like when I try to switch the emulator to landscape mode, it freezes for like 3 full seconds while the audio and video are playing in the background, and then snaps to place like 10 seconds ahead in the video. So yeah, that would have been kinda ugly. And you know how much we at BrainScratch pride ourselves on our professional presentation, right, viewers?
I'm liking the zoomed in, faded out background so we don't have ugly black borders on this with our vertical video syndrome. Because, you know, God forbid, I hate vertical videos, so...
Portrait orientation is irritating. It's kind of annoying that they limit you to just portrait orientation for this game, but I understand why they did, since most of the story is presented in the form of still frame, portrait-oriented images.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I should say, when it comes to watching videos specifically, like, for the game it's fine, because that's just the shape of the screen, but if I'm watching a YouTube video, I don't want it to be vertical. Because,
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I get you. I would still have preferred to play the game in portrait. No, wait, landscape.
Yeah.
Landscape orientation. I always get those two mixed up. I'm sorry, but you know, it is what it is. I don't really have any trouble playing it. It was a bit awkward doing it via emulator though, because I'm on this wide PC monitor. And I'm playing a game that takes up a third of it. Okay, sure.
Why are there fart gases attacking us?
They're
Oh yeah,
rainbow
the evil
fart gases.
are the foul phantoms. These are this particular demon is the TV anchor's boss demon.
Why is everyone making Sonic references in the upper left?
It's almost like this game's made by Sega and nobody likes to talk about anything else they do.
Hey, Sega also does the Yakuza franchise, which deserves way more attention than it gets in the West, and several metric tons of more attention than it was getting a few years ago. So, yeah. But we aren't here being paid to promote Yakuza, unfortunately.
Although, if
I would
they
totally
want
do
us
that.
to, you know, hit us up.
I'm totally down for that.
Okay, so, do you know how in this game you unlock the skills? Because I noticed that each demon has had skills that you aren't able to use that. I'm guessing that's through leveling up the demon.
I think it involves some sort of special item that was listed down below, but I haven't reached the point in the game where the game explains that to you.
Okay.
I think it's probably a later game thing.
Okay. Because there were certain spells, like Makajam is mute, so that might have been useful because those guys could cast electricity, which were good against most of your demons. So I
Yeah.
could imagine that would be useful.
I'm interested to see what kind of difficulty curve we're looking at as the game goes on, because the game only really started to get interesting tactically toward the end of the first chapter. So I'm assuming chapters 2 and 3 are where things start to get more like your standard Shin Megami Tensei game in terms of difficulty.
Yeah.
And I want to see how far they take it. Because it's a mobile game, they have to start out easy, because you're also catering to the average Joe Schmo who has no idea how to play an RPG. And,
I want to know, how is this guy standing like that?
back
well,
problems. The answer is back problems.
Yeah, probably.
Whim?
I think like in the I think like in the actual sequence of events that would be playing out behind that still frame cutscene, he'd be leaning against a wall, though.
Probably.
Anyway, that's all the gameplay that I have for you today.
Yeah. This guy is very... Oh yeah, you also get to make specific dialogue choices like in Shin Megami Tensei, but I don't know how much they impact things later on. It might...
There's like red and blue arrows that go up when you pick certain options, so I assume there's some background value being built up.
Yeah, but
or maybe it's a value in the options menu that I haven't seen yet. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's something that you'll be You'll be able to. That's something that you'll probably find out more as you play more through the game. Also, those goggles. Close the other flap on your goggles, please. It's asymmetrical and bothering me.
He did that just to bother people. You know that, right?
Ugh. Probably, yeah.
That's the kind of guy Megakin is.
Yeah.
He's like a benevolent version of Paul Logan, which basically means he's nothing like Paul Logan.
Regardless, though, this seems like an actual full game you're getting here.
Yeah, basically. Like, obviously, it's simpler than your typical SMT game, but it does look to have that kind of experience, but you can play it more. You can play it without having to dedicate like a full hour or whatever. You know, if you only have 5 minutes, you can play a chapter.
You know, I'm still more interested in the new Shin Megami Tensei game coming out on Switch whenever that happens. Do we have a release window on that yet?
Nope.
Nope.
Not even.
In any case, it'll happen sometime, and then it'll happen to us sometime later.
Probably.
Either way, I'm glad that we have a decent mobile game that we can use to whet our appetites for it for the next however many years it takes for us to get the game.
Yeah, and if you're interested, we still have that tracking link in the description, which takes you to the Facebook, where you can download it and more or less just see what's going on, because according to them, they're going to be having giveaways for that. So if you're interested in the game, great, you get more stuff potentially. So
yeah.
Yeah, we were playing the closed beta. The localized version of this game should be coming out on Google Play and iOS relatively soon. I don't have a release date in my head. I forget if they mentioned that. Did they mention that? Did they mention a release
I don't
date?
think so.
We'll post it on screen if we do find it. So thanks for watching so much. Thanks to Sega for giving this to us, and we will talk to everyone later.